Welcome to Talk with Tashi. It's great to see you as usual. And today we have a very special guest whom I will introduce at this time. Of course, on this program, we deal with issues and solutions. And tonight's topic, you do not want to miss. With me is Mrs. Natalie Powell Campbell, and she has been a teacher for over 21 years. She majors in industrial technology and is a teacher of electrical and electronics technology. She is very passionate about helping children realize and move forward in their God-given purpose. So I want you to stay tuned. She will join me right after this break.
Why bother go to class? Why bother to do any work when my mother tell me that don't worry because you're not going to achieve anything or you're not coming out to be anything good? Why worry? At one point, a co-worker of mine having a class, and he asked the class, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And this particular boy said, dead.
All right, welcome, Mrs. Natalie Powell Campbell. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. Today, we are looking at the topic, losing hope. Why our youth don't care about life. Before we get into the conversation, I wanted to tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and how we came to this conversation.
Thank you for having me, Reverend Tashi. I just mentioned before, I'm a teacher for over 21 years. I am passionate about students. I love children. I want to see them prosper. And I'm also a part of the guidance committee at my school. So from time to time, I'll be in contact with students or children, encouraging them, nurturing them, helping them to move forward in life.
Awesome. Now we're going to get right into the conversation about children losing hope. When we look at some of the things we see our young people involved in, and our murder rate is really, as a result, it's mainly our youth, that age group, maybe between say 16, 25, give or take a few years, minimum, maximum. We see them involved in things that appear to be, anything goes, even if their life is at risk. That is something that they don't seem to care about. What are some of the manifestations you see in your work? And by the way, do you work mainly, you're in industrial technology, you work mainly with boys or girls, or is it an equal number, you would say?
Mostly boys, but I have class with girls also. My passion for boys because I realize that we are losing our young men. And I want to be that change agent to cause a change into the lives of the young men who I come in contact with. So,
right.
Yes.
So what are some of the manifestations you have seen that seems to be an indication that our young people, they're losing hope?
Okay, some of the manifestation will be self-harm. So students are cutting themselves. So you will see that on their wrist or on their arms. For some persons, it is more enclosed, so you can't see it. And my belief is that one of the main reasons for this is the lack of emotional support from parents and family.
Wow. Okay. Yes. So that attitude that they have, so self-harm would be one. Is there any other way that you see? What about harming others? Is that something that you would see as well?
Yeah, man, many. So there are many. For example, you have students bullying or fighting, and this happens because parents give up on them. They feel as if there's no hope. Their parents will tell them that they are worthless, they are good for nothing, they are just like their daddy or their mommy. Or sometimes they may tell them things like, in this family, nobody pass high school level, so why bother? So because of that, no, they tend to retaliate and act out in a defiant way. I believe that you're seeking love, but you're just going about it the wrong way.
Wow.
Also,
Go ahead.
Also, I've seen where persons they are away from classes too. Again, there's no hope. They see education as not important because there's no encouragement from their parents or their surrounding environment. And because of that, there's no upward mobility, and they tend to just either way because it don't make any sense. Why bother go to class? Why bother to do any work when my mother tell me that don't worry because you're not going to achieve anything or you're not coming out to be anything good? Why worry? So this is it. Also, another reason again is that they don't place any value on life. And this is sad.
Right.
Now, they may live in a community where it is the norm for children their age or students their age, especially boys, 18 to 25, they are dying. And I bring about this to say, at one point, a co-worker of mine having a class, and he asked the class, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And this particular boy said, dead. No, this is sad.
Wow.
Very
Wow.
sad.
Wow.
Yes.
In
So
5 years, he
boy.
sees himself as dead. That's, yeah, that is sad.
Very sad. So he was a bit perturbed. So he took the boy to me. He didn't know that that boy too was a student of mine, and I've been working with this boy for about a year and a half thereabout. Now, this boy is somewhat withdrawn, and that's another sign of hopelessness. You're withdrawn. You stay away from persons, and you tend to stay by yourself. Now, he would either away from class, and in this case, he would not either way to like be with friends or a gang or so. What he would do is stay in the class and sleep, or he would just look into space. So of course, I was encouraging him, trying to find ways and means to let him know that there's more to life and you can't give up hope. But when he took this boy to me now, when I start to just dig deeper, because no, this is serious. You see yourself dead in 5 years. And I was saying to him that, why you see yourself? I mean, this is a trapped in handsome young man who, I mean, we say prominent, we say a future with him. And he was saying that, miss, in my community, the boys at my age, them just dead. You don't see anything. There's nothing else. So he was just there waiting to die, to become a statistic.
Yes.
And it is really sad.
So let me ask, you are within the school system, and it means that you are working with these students. At what point do we bring in the parents, and what has that experience been like when you try to involve the parents or guardians, whoever is in the home responsible for these children? What has that experience been like?
All right. So I am at a non-traditional high school, and in the non-traditional high schools, parental supports are very minimal, next to none. So sometimes you will call the parents in and they'll say to you that, miss, they can't come. Sometimes you go on the file and you'll find a number for the child. And when you call the parents, you hear that is the wrong number. When they do come, they come and they give us some story like, miss, I can't stay long. And they try to do a deflecting thing, to put the blame again on the child. And we can't be together as a group to find a amicable solution to solve the problem that these children are facing, because most times the parents, they are not there. They are busy doing things that we may deem not important.
Right. So the child does not appear to be important. And when you call them, they're always doing something. They come, but they can't stay long, and they're not prepared to get on a program. Is there a place, or is there a place for some kind of accountability? Are parents kept accountable? And in your, not necessarily specific to your institution, but generally based on your knowledge in schools across the board, are parents kept accountable for these teenagers, you know? So there's this manifestation of self-harm, you know, sleeping, being withdrawn, and or being violent towards other people. You call in the parent and you say, look, these things are happening. This is what I believe is going on, and we need you to change the narrative, be a part of. Is there anything in place to keep parents accountable in terms of how they might be changing their attitude or be asked to make some changes in the home, and then we check up to see if they're actually doing that?
Yes. What the guidance department does, they normally have dialogue with parents. Sometimes they do home visit. Sometimes it's sad, but we have to threaten them to that we're going to call CDAs for them to comply. So
Good.
even though it is not right, we threaten or we force them to comply so we can offer the help that we need to give to them and their children.
And so does that work? Has there been a situation? Do you have success stories of parents who have made adjustments and the children begin to improve?
Yes, we have stories and we have situations, but I mean, there's a lot more to accomplish because we still have a lot of parents who they don't care. So I mean, we may reach a few, but there's still room for improvement.
Okay. So those are the challenges. Now we're trying to see how best, what advice would you give to parents, advice to teachers of these students? How can we, and if you were to sit in a room with government officials, and they say to you, whatever you want done, we are prepared to back you financially and otherwise. What would you tell them? What do you think? How do you think we can address or begin to address? Because we know it's not going to be solved overnight. But how can we begin to address this whole matter of hopelessness in our youth and them just not caring about life and wanting to and seeing themselves dead in a very short time?
Well, I believe that this can achieve by a partnership. Government, parent, school, community, and the church. It's a full circle.
Right.
Now, I would have program for parents to understand that children need emotional support. They need to feel a sense of love, a sense of belonging. They need to feel important. They need to know that, yes, you care for them. They need to understand that you are here to nurture and to love them. So we would have that for parents, right? Also, we would have seminars. Because the truth is that some parents don't know how to love and to care for their children, because they too are victim of this thing that we are going through. They didn't show any love when they were growing up. They don't feel a sense of belonging, and it's like a cycle keep on going on. But teachers, sometimes as teachers, we see these things manifesting, and because we are bogged down with so much work, we tend to blow it under the carpet. So we need to have seminars on how we can alleviate or we can encourage or we can help these students. Also, I think that partnership with the guidance department is extremely important because sometimes the guidance department don't always see everything. So as a teacher, it's your responsibility that when you identify something, you can make the necessary link between that peer and that child and the guidance department. Now, as it relates to the community, I would want a system where we put something in place, again, government, teachers, parents, where we go back to the basics of life, where the village raise the children. Because in the community, we see these things manifesting too, and we are saying that it's not my child, it's not my parents, and because it's not my child, it's not my family, and because of that, you turn a blind eye. You don't care. So we need to have the village. You raise my child or my children, I raise you. It's a family thing. So the community is important in that case. Now for the church,
Yes.
we need to have programs set up, put in place where the church can go into the schools, the surrounding schools to find out if there are troubled children or children who need help, where they can give counseling, where we can get these children involved in like youth groups, where we can get them involved in clubs and society too, so that they too can feel a sense of belonging, a purpose, that
Right.
there's a purpose for them. Because when you know that you are contributing to something greater than you are, you will see the value placed on your life, and of such, no, you will want to be a part of that. So I believe that the church, the teachers, the school, the community, and the government can play a part. But then again, we need money, because money, of course, will put programs in place. One of the things I see with our government or our country is that we start something, but we are not consistent. So we start the unattached youth program, and it is going on good, and persons have been benefiting from it, and then we just stop. So we need
Yes.
consistency. So I
That
believe
was a
that,
good program.
yes, I believe that we can work together to eliminate hopelessness and to bring about some form of hopefulness in our children, because they are the future.
Right. And sometimes we have to wonder if they realize that they are the future. But apart from, yeah, or maybe in addition to these manifestations, so far we're talking about losing hope, why our young people don't care about life. And in this lack of care, one of the things you said, which is very important, is that they are looking for love, but they are looking for it in the wrong way, going about it the wrong way, and probably looking for it in the wrong places. And you spoke about the boys and how much you really have a passion for the boys, because you realize that they are even more than the girls, under attack, so to speak, even the kind of man that they're growing up to be. So not only do they self-harm, manifest violent behaviors towards others, and see their future as not very far, dead in 5 years in the case of at least one student. There is also the matter of the groups where they find this sense of belonging. So that could be the gangs, and then social media as well plays a very big role in welcoming many of our teens and so on, and sometimes to their own detriment. Is there any, do you have any experience having to interact with students who would have been, either victims of gangs or maybe social media, I'm going to call it bullying, or anything relating to those two?
Yes, I have been social media bullying, and this happened a lot when we have the COVID. So the persons sometimes don't want to come to class online, and they'll tend to stay off. Even when we go back to the regular face-to-face, they were hiding away from school because they didn't want to see these persons or the perpetrator who tend to bully them, threaten them, call them names and all these things. And this too affect how they progress, how they do in their schoolwork. It affects them.
So pretty much then every parent would need to do some kind of assessment as to what's going on in their own home. What's going on in your
Yes.
home? Is your home a loving place where children look forward to being there? That's the first thing. And parents need to take charge of that environment, because you want your children to love being home. I can recall many, many years ago, as a teenager, I used to look forward to going home. And when I just, my very first job, when I was still taking public transportation, I recall being very annoyed at the number of children I would meet up at the transport center, because you, as a teacher, you would delay going home so that you can go into a bus with ease. But it didn't matter how late you go to the transport center or any bus stop, students were still there. And I remember speaking with my own mother and saying, what's going on? Why is it that they don't go home early, and so on? And one of the things that my mother said, which I never ever forgot, she said, when a home is loving and caring, children will always look forward to going home. They won't delay. And I reflected on that and recognized that that was indeed my experience, and so many others that I know of. And usually, as a teacher, and having known other people in my own peer group at that time when I was a teen taking the bus and so on, there would have been instances where they delayed going home because home was just not a comfortable place. So every parent really needs to assess what's going on in their home and deal with that. Do you think that it is possible for teachers to influence students in such a way that even if they don't have the support of the parents, that the life of a child can be positively impacted and even changed with just the influence of a teacher?
Yes, definitely. It can happen. For example, I can speak for myself. When I was in about eighth grade, I was a bright child, but of course, I was wasting time. And I remember, and why? Because I was surrounded with some friends and I was better than them. So therefore, I believe that I didn't need to do much because I'm already better than my friends. And I remember a teacher came to me and she spoke to me and she said that, Natalie, you're a bright child. And she encouraged me. And after that talk, I remember that everything changed. My grades gone up. I wasn't depending on my friends saying that I'll get more than them and that's it. I wanted to reach for the sky. The sky was the limit for me. I tried, I studied, and I do everything. Not only that, I can speak from my experience that a couple months ago, about in December, thereabout, a young man again came to me and he came to me to say that means, I come to look for you. Well, I didn't teach him in upper school. He was lower school, grade 8 and grade 9. But while he was at upper school, he normally hangs out right about in the auditorium thereabout. And every time I see him, I'll send him to his class. Go to your class, go to your class. And I mean, continuously. And he came to say to me, that means you know that when I was coming to school, I never like you. You pressure me too much. Every time you see me, you send me my class and thing. But I come to tell you that I am happy that you did so. Those two subjects, I got 1 and 2s in it, and I'm in the army now. And it's because of those
Wow.
subjects. So I'm coming to tell you thanks. Thanks for what you do. Initially, I didn't appreciate it, but now I am older and I can appreciate what you have done for me. And that is
Mm.
just one of the story.
Right, right, right. Because oftentimes teachers will say it doesn't make any sense trying to inspire hope in these children because they're going back home to the same thing. And therefore, we want to encourage every teacher out there that you can create a classroom. You can create that space where children also look forward to come to school just for your class. And just imagine if every teacher was doing that,
Yes.
So we want to encourage teachers to inspire hope in the children. And yes, one of the solutions that you said, it's a community, it's a partnership. And that's the approach that we need to take. The church is playing its role, the school, the community, the family, they're all playing their role. And together we can see a change in our students. Any final thoughts?
And too, another thing too, sometimes I believe that the parents themselves don't know their children because they don't spend enough time with them, so they don't know their children. And why I said this, I remember again another example where this daddy would come and tell me that his child is not doing good and it is hopeless. And I remember actually into an altercation with the dad because I am seeing something different.
Right.
And I remember after that report day, I went with the child and I sat him down, I spoke to him and I said to him, listen to me, seriously, we're going to prove your parents wrong. Work with me. And I help him with the other subjects, me and a friend of mine, and we actually help him to apply to at UTech. And he got
Oh,
through, he got his subject, 6 subjects. And then when the results came, he took it to his dad. You know what happened? The dad was so surprised that the dad gave him his bank card and said, go and pay the school fee. Sometimes they don't know their children. So these are
yeah.
the things that, as teachers, we have to do.
Yes.
My final thought is that youths or children are the future, and it is important for us to mold them, to show them, to encourage them so that they can take up their rightful position in the society, also in the church, because we need godly men and women, because this is the only way that this country will change. This is the only way that we are going to minimize or reduce crime and violence and abuse in the home that will affect the children then. So we have to show love, we have to nurture them, and to give them our support.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Natalie Powell Campbell. It has been awesome. And I want to just add to those final thoughts by saying that it is never too late to begin showing love to your children. It's not too late at all. We need to understand that when we recognize that we have been going in the wrong direction for so long, but they're still teenagers and still seeking and so on, we can stop right where we are, wheel and come again, and have that conversation, make some changes in the home, first and foremost, inspire hope in our children by showing some hope. Let them know that, I believe in your ability. I'm here to support you, and I want you to do well. Do not speak down to them and tell them that they're good for nothing or that they are worthless. Think about it. Who wants to be told that? Even as adults, if we hear that often enough, it begins to affect our psyche. Just imagine what it does for children who are trying to please the people around them and trying to make something of themselves, trying to navigate through life, trying to figure out what life is about and where they're going and what they're supposed to do. So this is Tashi Campbell saying thank you so much for tuning into this conversation. And until next time, we encourage you to inspire hope and join us next week for another talk with Tashi.